1 and Hector's model, so I'm going to skip these things. And of course, in the case of the NWS model, the breach is occurring. There are two types of breaches. One is overtopping breach, as you can see from here, or the other one is, breach due to piping, and then the river routing is using the one-dimensional. Almost all these models which I am talking about, they take care of the one-dimensional model. So the MIPE11 model has got this feature for arranging the dam structures as well as the dam, and this is a different something from that of the NWS dam break model. And you have got, but in the MIPE11 model, you are not measuring the stage and discharge at the same location. It is a staggered arrangement they have got. If you measure the discharge and the stages obtained in between the another discharge point of stage. So it is in a staggered manner the information is collected. And in Hector's model features, again, using the linear structure editor they have got. And you have got this type of thing that you have got here reservoir and the dam structure you are providing separately. At least two cross sections have to be taken to take care of the dam structures upstream of the existing dam structure. Now you have got, when I go into the case study, we have seen this. This was a real picture of that 1979 failure that had happened in Machu. And this location of the dam is in Rajkot district. And in fact, I should tell the information, we were not aware, India was not aware there is a dam failure had taken place. We were informed by the US that there is a failure has taken place. There is a lot of, the dam has failed and it has inundated a lot of area. And so you can see the stretch. You can see this is the, after the flood has occurred, and this is the cross section or the area that has inundated or the flood wave has passed through this area that they have marked based on the higher level water marks downstream of the failed dam. So these are the features of the Machu 2. And now you have seen here, there were 18 gates, but you can see here the spillway design for annual average. That was the annual average in Machu 2. It was recorded 558 at that time, 558.8 millimeter annual average. But on the particular day, it was something about more than 733 millimeter of rainfall within 24 hours. And then these designs of whatever this dam was implemented or constructed way back in 1972, at that time the established procedure was maybe there was no proper hydrological design. So it was, the design flood was something around 6,000. But what happened was when the flood had occurred, it was estimated nearly double the time of the design flood has passed through the dam structure. So you can say this was a real situation of what has happened. It was got a masonry structure here, and on either side of the dam, the failure had taken place. So, but if you see in the real models, you are not going to provide this actual scenario. You are not going to provide because you cannot imagine about it. This was a real incident. So this was the way the failure has occurred. It was, top of the dam, 1.5 feet above the top of the dam. The water has passed for 1 hour. More than 1 hour water has passed. So basically, the water overflowing water caused the toe erosion, and then on either side the soil, either side the soil embankment caved in, and this type of breach formed. But after the failure, this masonry structure was intact. Nothing happened to the masonry structure, and the people were working at that time to open all the gates, but in front of their eyes, the flood was passing for 1 hour. And they were stranded here, and of course, I mean, it's a lighter vein. I have to say the engineer who was handling this, he took his family and ran away from the spot because, you know, nothing could be done at that time. So that is what has happened. And so, what in order to take care of this, you know, because this was a real thing, and the models are providing the shape of the breach like this. This is a trapezoidal, or you can provide a triangular breach, or that of a rectangular breach you can provide. So, what I did was at that time to, you know, combine all this area and put together approximately overlap with the trapezoidal shape like this one I provided. The area made here is same as the area of the water area that has really occurred, but then, you know, the shape was provided because this was the only provision we could make. And the inflow hydrograph, design inflow hydrograph, accordingly as per the 1979 information, the IMD has worked out this inflow hydrograph into the reservoir, and which is something around 13,000 feet was the inflow, or 13,000 or something around 6,000 meter cube per second, or 13,000 something in cusecs. And there was no information available about the roughness aspect. So considering the immediately below the dam, and these are the three things you can see here. At that time, you know, the information was given in the report in terms of the miles. So immediately below the dam at 0.8 kilometer and 5.813 miles and 10.81, 15.81, 20.69, 24.63. At these locations, the detailed cross sections were measured, and as per the program we are given, as per the, you know, because this Manning's end was, you know, tried because no other information was available. These were tuned and obtained this Manning's end 0.00035 in the first three sub-reaches, and in the last two reach it is 0.03, 0.03 because this is nearer to the deltaic area. So this was the dam break model simulations. But if you see here, when we do the evaluation study, you will see this was breached information, and immediately below the dam, and this was the dam. I mean the inflow hydrograph. I mean outflow hydrograph from the breached dam, and then subsequently these hydrographs are obtained. The downstream boundary condition used was the, you know, one-to-one relationship. In all the packages, we are given the one-to-one relations downstream boundary conditions. So different, these magnitude, if you see, they are more or less same. Now you can see here from the breach dam, all the three models are comparing the same outflow hydrograph for the same condition. And this you can see here, they are not very different from each of the models. They are more or less giving all the breach dam. I mean, from the immediately below the downstream of the dam, you have got this one. And then if you see here, time to peak stage and downstream locations, and this was only a estimate, because we didn't have any other information about that. This was the information, but you can see there is a delay of immediately below the dam. If there is 0 meter, you can see there is a difference in the arrival time. But when the peak moves downstream, that these are all because the channel is able to suppress arrival time. And you can see these are the high level marks that have been made. These red dots are the observed one, observed by this based on the top markings when the flood passes. This information and all the models are nearly giving the same thing. So you can see here immediately or at location of 1287 meter, 1.287 kilometer, you can see here observed values of 51.21, and so you see 39. So they are not very much different, but only thing is I have to mention this Mike Levin model has been used as the base model, and then the n value has been tuned to match this thing. So the other models may appear that they are deviating very much. It is because the student tuned it for the Mike Levin model, the n values. Otherwise, the performances are nearly same. So you can say that, that's what specifically I'm mentioning. Mike 11 is much closer, Mike 11 results, but because we have tuned it, n value corresponding to the Mike 11 simulation with the observation. But all the other programs, other packages, they are giving more or less same thing. So conclusion is you can use any one of these models for dam-break simulations, and you don't have to have any apprehension. The shape may be different, but then you may provide a shape in the required one. If you provide a trapezoidal one, it doesn't matter. Maybe the beginning of the stretch, you may get some variations because that is what is the more dynamic immediately below the dam. But with the passage of distance away from the failed dam, all the results are going to be the same. So thank you. If you have got, and we will see the questions afterwards.
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. David Pudar.
End of the large dam building era in Tasmania, and our need to optimise energy production, water management, and in some cases, for some projects, carbon dioxide minimisation as well. What we needed to do is to put information in the hands of our hydroelectric power station operators, but also into our dam safety engineers' hands so they could take emergency action if needed. 4 examples will be used, one for Hydro Tasmania operations, so I'll talk about power generation, one for Rowell Dam upgrade, which is really about flood forecasting while some remedial action was done, one for Meander Dam optimisation, which is a joint irrigation scheme with a mini hydro on there, and then an example of using the same approach for broader water scale management. And then I'll wrap up with some challenges and future directions. So where are we talking about? Tasmania is a very small island state, southeast of Australia. We're the largest water manager in Australia. It's quite wet there. It's not like the rest of Australia, which is quite dry. On the west coast, we have around about 3.5 metres of annual rainfall, and we've got something like 200 storages, 45 major lakes, 30 power stations. Our inflow forecasting system works dynamically in real time and produces 7-day forecasts at 61 locations with 2-hourly updates, and the inputs are rainfall, observed rainfall on the ground, observed stream flow data, data from our SCADA system where we're capturing water levels in power station operations, as well as a range of weather forecasts, and I'll talk about weather forecasts in a moment. So why have we gone this way? Really increased value is being placed on data and information. We need to be able to operate our existing systems better. And to do that, we need reliable data capture, rapid transfer of that information from the field. We needed to automate quality checking. We couldn't just have someone sitting there checking on the data as it came in. And we needed to integrate our capture of data with modelling. This really led to electronic data capture, which has been widespread across the industry since the 90s. We use multiple communication systems. I'll talk about those in a moment. We have remote monitoring and alarms, so we have mobile phones receiving SMS messages and things like that when there's issues. We've built our own data management system, and we've also realised we really need some robust data storage. We're capturing data on 5-minutely, sometimes 15-minutely intervals. We need to be able to store that and use that later to review what we've been doing and whether we could have operated our systems better. And we've also needed improved modelling with dynamic data interfaces, particularly for our operators. So the first example is Hydro Tasmania forecast upgrades. One key thing with Tasmania, we tend to have quite small catchments. They're fairly steep and they're wet, so they're highly responsive. And so we need to have fine-scale models and fine-scale data. A key limitation of our previous forecasts was our over-reliance on the weather forecasters, which I'll come back to time and time again. But also we were getting qualitative or semi-quantitative weather forecasts rather than hard numbers all the time. and also the forecast only covers part of our catchments. That's changed in the last couple of years with the emergence of the Australian Visual Forecast Database, which is a Bureau of Meteorology product, which gives us really good data for meteorological forecasts twice per day and gives us statewide coverage. But the challenge is that it's biased because it's based on larger scale weather models. It has to be downscale, and it's still influenced by our forecasters. Basically, multiple models are used and the forecasters choose what they believe is the best model. To give you an example of some of the bias, this is a plot of observed rainfall on the vertical axis versus forecast rainfall on the horizontal axis for a range of different probabilities and durations past the current day. So they're actually doing forecasts out for 4 days, and for a good forecast you'd expect the 45-degree line. Expect to expect the forecast to be very similar, but in some cases it's quite biased, and in fact some of the rare events that we had on record weren't in the forecast. So that's a real problem. But what were the results? Really gridded rainfall data is emerging technology, but we did get significant improvement in our forecasts. We did bias correction to try to bring those biases out of the data, but it seemed to have information in there which allowed us to do better forecasts. Generally, the forecasts are highly reliable and consistent between events. You need careful bias correction, as I've said, and really it's not a substitute for local data. The local data is really important to us because we can validate the forecasts and then look for updates from the Bureau twice a day. So we're doing our forecasts every 2 hours based on real data and forecast data, and we validate that back to our original time with real data. So careful adoption and adaptation of data is appropriate. And we've done some more work on this, and we're actually thinking the forecasters might even not just be choosing the model they think is the best, but also truncating the large rainfalls. So how do we get them out of the forecast process? The second example is Ravalan Dam. It's a headwater storage and a cascade of hydroelectric dams on the north coast of Tasmania. Basically, it's a 43-metre clay core dam. It has a high hazard consequence using the ANCOL guidelines, and the principal failure mode was identified as piping failure at the end base of the right bank spillway and embankment. And the plan was to place 2 sections of the dam, the core and the filters, with the reconstruction of the upper portion of the dam crest. And, of course, minimising the risk to the rest of the system, and also our construction works and people and our costs during construction. So what were the solutions? I think, like the German example, we separated the storage, separated the works in the storage using sheet piles. We drew the lake down. We had plans for emergency backfill if needed, but we really needed a customised flood warning system to trigger or review actions during construction. And really, that model had to be pretty tight. It had to be reliable and had redundancy built into it. It needed to be accurate so that we avoided crying wolf or having false alarms, and avoid the cost of us doing works to prepare for floods if they didn't arise. So we went about developing a bespoke flood warning model for that particular catchment. We used a product called Hydra modelling in this instance. I'll talk about different modelling packages as I go through. We modelled the catchment and we tested the sensitivity of our flood forecasts according to the available rainfall network, and we found that some of the rainfall gauges were quite critical to our flood forecasts. So we established alarms on those so that basically we keep effectively real-time visibility of the data coming in. And if the data's not coming in, we send an SMS alert to the operator and they go and replace the rain gauge or figure out what's going on. I won't talk too much about how the model was constructed, but we ended up with a commercial contract with the Bureau of Meteorology to provide us specific forecasts for that catchment, and also to advise us if it looks as though their forecasts were forecasting very extreme rainfall. And we also customised our bias correction in this. The outcomes, the model produces 10-day probabilistic forecasts and has variable trigger levels in there for warnings, depending on the stage of construction. So we work very closely with the engineers in terms of construction stages. The tolerances we had were to work within, our predictions had to be within effectively quarter of a metre below and quarter of a metre up, so half a metre tolerance. We disseminated the warnings via our SCADA system and by SMS to operators, to dam safety engineers and also to site personnel. So we had multiple ways of communicating, which was important for redundancy. We also did an end-to-end test of the model. Once we developed it, we then did some emergency situations as tests and found it worked well. And as it turned out, while we were doing the upgrades, it actually performed really well, so we're very happy with that. But one alert did go off, and one of our critical rain gauges did fall over. The SMS system told us we needed to get out there and replace that rain gauge within 1 day. The third example is a combined irrigation hydroelectric scheme, and the need there was really to have reliable irrigation delivery. I'll give you a bit of a picture of this in the next slide. To minimise the amount of releases, because we wanted to get the maximum irrigation water without releasing it and maximum storage. We had to do this publicly so that people could see what was happening with that storage, because it was a little controversial. So we had to provide public access to that information. We also had to maximise the hydropower when we could, monitor the water quality for the Environment Department, maintain environmental flows, report to the regulators, produce invoices for irrigators, because irrigators have water meters on this system. So we had to be able to track their consumption and provide invoicing. And ultimately we had to be flexible if there were new changes to the system. So our solution was, again, based on our Agenti system, with links to SCADA, which is in this case, this particular client's SCADA system, to the Bureau of Meteorology forecasts, to various street gauges and water meters. So we've actually got a component which forms mesh radio networks that can send irrigation meter data back to a central hub. We had to optimise our operation. In this case, we used an opposite model, which is another model we can use. Provide customised interfaces to the client and have transparent operation, as I said before. This is interesting. So, and also, we actually won an Institution of Engineers National Award for this last year. So what does the system look like? That's it. Okay, so these are the irrigation meters. We've got a thing called the Agenti transceiver, which forms a radio mesh and can send data back to our Agenti data management system. We also capture data from the SCADA system that's operated by the client, Bureau of Meteorology, and we actually manage all of that data ourselves. And we formed an interface with this model using a product we call our data bridge, which allowed us to push back information to the irrigation scheme operator for operation decisions. This is one of the screens.
Please computer.
Yep.
Sort of.
Yep. Very quick. So this is one of the screens. So this is actually irrigation meters, and you can see the green ones are operational, the red ones aren't in this instance. Very final example, African water management system. The idea here was to integrate data from various sources and provide all sorts of things. But I'll go to the graphic. So this is for countries in Africa. The requirements were to produce drought forecasts, flood forecasts, provide public access to information, support water management planning, provide direct access to data, invoicing for water use, and mobile phone signals. Oops, it'll go there. Okay. Can't find that. So So the data sources required were meters, SCADA, telemetry, loggers, mobile phone, people ringing in data, gauge boards, Met Bureau forecasts and satellite data products. So we looked at that and thought, well, how do we provide a solution to that? And effectively we were able to do it by having modular systems talking to each other. We talked to Princeton University, we got the African drought forecasting system from them, just satellite based. We used commercial products, in this case Aquarius. We used different modelling packages and we patched it all together with our Aquarius system. So what have we learned? There's increasing value of data and information to generate more with less. You can avoid investment in new systems if you get the most out of your existing systems. We're moving data collection from regular to reactive, so we don't go and collect data regularly. We do that. We only go out to visit a site if it's going down. We're also bringing data together from different groups. So we're trying to avoid having silos of data, but using sharing data. Robust systems are really part of this. Numerical weather predictions and satellite data, there's increasing availability and they enhance local data collections, but they're not alternatives or replacements at this stage. And modular software and modelling systems, it's really the way to go. Don't reinvent the wheel. Things like the Agenda Data Management System are there to help. Challenges ahead. Focus on the tools for water managers and operators. What do they need? How will they use it? That's where we've come from. We own and operate dams. And don't forget the need to review the history. Ensemble forecasts are going to require even more processing power, speed. Lots of forecasters, as I said a couple of times, and the modular systems are still developing. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Now, flood investment is being done, and how in 2013 when disaster came in Kedarnath, what was the effect in the downstream or the role of TVDAM in the mitigation of the flood in 2013 disaster. This is a TVDAM. This is also the Nasser Dam, 260 meter high, fourth highest in the world. This is the schematic diagram of the project. There are two dams, one Koteshwar Dam and Tiri Dam. This is the gorge reservoir. The reservoir is square in 42 square kilometer area and 45 kilometer. There are two rivers basically, Bhagirathi and Tilangana, which are joining before Tiri, and then is downstream of that joining of the two rivers. Reservoir is square 42 square kilometer at FRL, 45 kilometer towards Langna side, Bhagirathi side, and 25 kilometer towards Tilangana side. There are the spillway arrangements. One is south spillway, left bank south spillway, gated, and right bank south spillway ungated. I will show you the sub slides how much water can be passed through these spillways. This is the south spillway. The capacity is 5,500 cumex. This is the right bank south spillway ungated. Capacity of each each spillway is 1,900 cumex. These are the left bank south spillway, gated south spillway. Capacity of each spillway, there are two spillways, each capacity of each spillway 1,900 cumex. Thus, design maximum probable flood which can come at TD is 15,200 cumex, and we have provided the outlets for 30,020 cumex flood, and we can route the flood by 2,200 cumex. Maximum probable flood is 15,200 cumex, and outlets provided for 30,020 cumex. Thus, we have the flood space of 5 meters. That is, FRL is at 30 meter, and MFL is at 835 meter. Thus, we have the provision of to mitigate the flood, to route the flood by 5 meter routing space. You can see how the spillway will operate. Left hand side spillway, then right hand side spillway.